Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Friday. Yes, indeed. Let's see what's going on. We've got all the political noise, I think, kind of past us at the moment. Now we just have economic news, and I'm trying to think what else is brewing out there. But pretty much most of all the political noise has come to, let's say, it's come to a resting stop. And now at this point, it could be just a slow, steady, sideways retreat when it comes to Mr. Biden and his wishes and dreams and the socialist America that he wants and so forth and so on. So at this point in time, we see the markets kind of calm down. Matter of fact, the stock markets have found a way to be up. You can see the dollar seems to be, well, you can see here, against the Swiss, the dollar is, just a little bit weaker. You can see that. You can see the white line is trying to head down there. You can see that we've even got a red hinky right there. That's pretty cool. So, it's starting to show us that, things seem to have stopped at the moment. Let's put it that way. And then when we go over and look at the Chicago Quant, you see the same thing. Let's widen that out like so. Oh, and let's get the fact check spreadsheet up there like so. There we are. And so that is pretty much the recipe to it all now. You can see the pressure coming back down. I think that there will be more changes, but not as volatile maybe. I think it could be a little bit chiller. It could be, it might not be as exciting. There's not much of a reason for it to be super exciting. Just let it play itself out, I guess you could say. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And that's probably where we're at the moment. Let's see how the chat line is. I see nobody appearing on the chat line so far, so kind of quiet. And like I said, it's going to be a relatively, I kind of think we'll see a relatively milder universe at this point. So that is what it is, and that's how it's going to march now. All right, now let's jump over to the euro. Where is the euro? And euro was kind of, this morning when we first looked at it, yeah, see it's still underneath the trend. We thought it would break it down to that point. And you can see the weekly, we're going to generate a weekly sell. You see the white line. Let's put it in J4X2. I'm sure you're seeing a much more buried situation with lots of red. Lots of red. Right there. Oh, look at that. It's popping up. So we're seeing some strength there too. Okay. But lots of red. The hinky ashies will start to clean up. And you can see here it's trying just a little bit more. It's plus. You can see it here on our screen there where it has green. But we're going to close in a daily and a weekly sell unless we get some real activity today. And I just don't see that happening. It just doesn't seem to be the recipe for it for today. But yeah, that would be kind of stalled. Now the only one out of the three of those seems like the cable has been showing the biggest strength of all, which makes a lot of sense. The cable is I don't know. I'm always bullish on the cable solely because it has all the attributes of China, so you would think that everybody would want to be buying it all day long. Let's put it this way: all the attributes of what everybody thinks about China, not what the reality is with China. And that's what that's what always excites me about the cables. I see all those things that they say about China, basically with the Commonwealth and England. So it really confuses me how they don't speculatively buy, just buy. That's the total thing, because all our funds around the world seem to want to be invested in China. And as much as they don't make any money there, they want to be invested there. And, it is a curious thing. And you can see here we are flirting with a daily buy. Again, the weekly is going to fall into the weekly sell with everything else, which was a real wild month. There's no doubt about it. It was a real wild month, and a couple months when it comes to how choked up the market was. It was choked in lack of volume, and I'm talking about the currencies and the stock indices the markets had been just sideways for a couple of months, and now we're starting to get some ebb and flow, and probably the next answer to it all will be, exactly that. We'll start to see more active trading, which it looks like it's doing a pretty good job. It does. It looks like it's doing a very good job there with some active trading, which is nice. The markets, they're ebb. As one of the old traders said to me last night or something like that, and I said, yeah, lots of ebb and flow now. Lots of ebb and flow. Yeah, it goes back and forth now, not just that one hard drive up, and then up again. All right, now let's see. So you see cable, and so what we do, drift from the three majors. We drift over to the Turkish Lira and see what's going on there. There, and that's obviously pushing itself into a sell there today. To see, yep, look at that, the white line. The fast white is dropping below the slow dashed. Yeah. I wonder if we should make that dashed like red. You think that would emphasize it more? Well, I like yellow, kind of like warning, And and then the hinky, we got ourselves even a red hinky going on there. And then we bring ourselves down to there, right there on our work, and you see same thing with a red dot. And breaking down, but it looks like the weekly will hold up and there won't be as much pressure on it, and that is pretty much what it comes down to, is that whole action there. All right, nice quiet. Oh, hey Douglas, how you doing? Morning to you too. It's been wild and woolly. Yesterday was wild good action, really wild, good action. So, what we were at this point in time, we are, looking at the marketplace with lots of potential action, for good daily trading and even intraday trading and so forth. We see a lot of good signs that the market is not being held captive as much as it has been with the QE. Markets are trying to. I would say some funds are probably trying to book some money. They're taking some of these profits, and they gotta. If you don't sell when you're making money, sooner or later you end up selling when you're losing money. So that's probably what we're seeing here now. Now it's obviously an up year, and everything is looking fine. This is the first down month we've had in September since I think it's March of 2020. So. That's a big number there. Now let's jump over to the Turkish Lira against the Euro and see what they're doing with it there. Right there. You see same situation heading down. Oh yeah. And see it over here on the Chicago Quad. And it's been in the sell for 2 days. This Euro Turkish Lira does lead the flavor or the direction or the whatever you want to call it. It does it. It does. It drives it really well. It keeps it. I don't know. It's just I still think it's got to be the location situation. There must be a lot of trade going on in Europe and Turkey compared to United States and Turkey. I just have to assume that is the answer to it all. That's at least in my head. That's the way I look at it. Location, location, location. All right. But both, you notice, are holding up on their weeklies pretty well. So they're just going to probably hesitate around the channels that we've defined. And I'm not really that sure you're going to see any real, great movement. I don't know. We follow the numbers. It's hard to speculate anything beyond the numbers, but I would just think that it would be a sideways action now to the end of the year, unless they another calamity occurs in Turkey, where Erdogan does something else. You never know. Since he's become involved in politics on the leader level, since prime minister, it was trading at 1.5. As president, it was trading from I think 3 or 2.5, and now we've seen it get as high as almost 10.5. So, whatever ideas he has on the economics and what he's going to push, obviously probably has not changed much. So that's why I think it's just going to be sideways the rest of the year. But you know what? We follow the math, and when the math tells us it's okay to be long, in this case here, which is basically being short the Turkish Lira, that's what we follow. And you can see it here. It went into the weekly buy back in here, and it has climbed up into here. Even with the shorter term dailies and so forth going buy, sell, and then there's your last buy right there. And then now we're back into a sell here. That's the only way to really play it. Turkey people are old in trading. Old in trading? You mean they've been established a long time, yeah. And I imagine they've been trading with Europe for 1,000 years, thousands of years. But I guess I can say this about that statement. The lack of capitalism instead of cronyism and so forth is a negative. It's not a positive. And probably that's why the European Union today is not. Probably why Turkey's not a European Union member. Probably because of it's some of the decision-making processes scares Europe. Europe is socialist, and Turkey is more extreme socialist. And maybe there are times where in Europe realizes that it's not the best to go total Soviet. And I guess that's probably the way I look at it. I know that sounds strange, but you got to assume that there must be a subconscious thing going on there. It's just like the way Germany is, like, for centuries Germany was a much more of a leading nation in Europe, or dealing, it had a stronger stature. And ever since the disaster of World War I and II, it has really pushed Germany into that resting stop, just the way Turkey is, I think, going nowhere, just going sideways, just chopping, you have your Siemens and so forth, and you have your Mercedes, and you have your, BMW, and you have a couple more successful, steel, you have a very successful companies, but I don't see anything more than that. I don't see any real growth. You have some good engineering. You have a large population that has great abilities, but I really don't see any real growth. It seems to me it's more like a stability, what's the word for it? Just sideways. It's going to take a long time for Germany to be able to get out of the shadows of World War I and World War II. They really harmed the nation's psyche for a long time. So they're just going to be, and that's probably, and that probably drags Europe sideways too. And that's probably why the euro itself will be more of a choppy sideways action from the 130s to the 110s or the 105s, unless they do something more foolish, or if they do something much better, but at this point in time, I just don't see it. And then just watching the last election, they're not that interested in growing. They're more interested in standing to the side, just kind of stay I think the key word is called the status quo. I think that's what they really are looking for, is to just stay where they are. And something will come along, some type of leadership will come along, maybe the flip side of what happened in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, that will show that just sitting around doing nothing isn't life. It just isn't. That's what we have it here in the United States. Right now, Mr. Biden's administration is no different than what is going on in Europe and Germany in particular. Just kind of, they just want to basically take our population and park it to the side, and just wick us up in 50 years. That's pretty much what it comes down to. What's that? Kind of, they are stuck. Yeah, exactly. It's a sideways action, and it'll take some type of maturity to realize that life is for the living, and it's not. Life is not for the. I don't know. There's another word for it, but life and the financial markets describe what is going on. In other words, they are. Just like when you look at the temperature gauge and it says it's Celsius this, or it's Celsius that, or Fahrenheit this, or Fahrenheit that. The markets overall represent the way countries are moving and doing. And the only one out there that even remotely looks like something that has some action to it is the United States. And then you have some little pockets here like Poland, and you have different little pockets, the Czech Republic, and Hungary, and Slovakia, and you have some action, and you see they fight that in Britain. You see that in Britain fights it. It really does. Every time the governments, the administrators, not the politicians as much, but the administrators try to push countries to go a certain way, then you see their economics, you see their currency, you see their stock markets get stalled and do nothing. And it's fascinating. What we do is we really do watch when we're looking at these. Let's look at that a little bit deeper. Like, here's a Canadian, right? We jump over to the Canadian now, and you can see in the Canadian. Let's put it on J4X. The country is kind of stalled in it. It has. Last headline I saw about the politics was, can't we just vote for none of the above? It's like, what? I have to laugh at that. Can we vote for the none of the above? Obviously, no one's really giving. Made me laugh on that one. No one's giving a clear picture of what is going on live, and then no one's giving a clear picture of what could be. The country of inequality. The only question I have out of that whole sentence is, how do you define inequality? I'm going to look up inequality and see if it matches what what you think it is. I'm not even sure how you come up with. Not you. I don't even know how they can. I just don't know how they can define inequality. Because we see the left kind of wants to take things from everybody. They just want to squeeze everybody and make everything like homogenized, which is very confusing to me. So inequality, I am copying that and looking at how they define inequality, because I have no idea. Old money controlling everything. I don't believe that at all. That I don't believe. I just think it's just old. I don't know if it's old money. I would go, it's old leadership. That's the way. Inequality refers to the phenomena of unequal or unjust distribution of resources. Now, how do you distribute resources? That's the kicker right there. How do you distribute? It says phenomena of unequal or unjust distribution of resources and opportunities among members of given society. Well, that's what they vote for. Socialists are fighting for that every day. They want opportunities among members of given society. They want to take away this. If you have an ability, they want to take it away from you, and they want to give it to somebody else that doesn't have an ability. That doesn't make them work. It doesn't make them functional. It just means you're just, it's kind of stealing. That's all that is. I know that the left kind of thinks it's like some type of balancing act where everybody is the same. There is a documentary on YouTube, Old Money Controlling Everything. That I don't believe at all. because I've been around old money for a long time, and I'll tell you the truth, they don't even pay attention to the world. And I don't think I would consider Bezos old money, or what's it, Allen and Gates and what's his name, Biznelli or whatever it is. Those three who run Microsoft, they were three partners. I don't think of them as old money at all. And and the old money I know from 2 and 3 centuries ago, they have no desire to be involved in society. They keep their billions and they just play. They just do their thing. The money and power German millionaires. Nah, I think it's just society just choosing to not go anywhere, and that's what the currencies reflect. That's what the stock markets. I mean, let's look at the Deutsch. Let's look at the DAX. Let's take a look at the DAX compared to the Dow Jones Industrial Average. But I don't, as someone who knows old money and can talk to old money during the day if I want to, no, trust me, they're not involved at all. They're just, matter of fact, their trusts are just running things, and the objective is to make sure they have more this year than they had last. That is literally all that they're really concerned about. They may talk stuff, they'll send some charities, they'll do all that stuff, but nah, I have not seen old money that coherent. It seems like the world is basically being controlled more by new money, not old money. Let's see, where's the DAX on this? Let's take a look at that. The DAX. Is that it? No, maybe. There, is that the DAX? Let's see. Which one's the DAX? There's the Tech 100, S&P 500. There is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Index India, no. Hong Kong, no. Where's the German? Oh, there it is, right there. Okay, let's see, and that's in euros too. So let's take a look at that and see how it is doing compared to. Let's see. Let's go to this a monthly, and how it's doing against the Dow. So are we at all-time highs in this product? Is it matching the Dow? I guess it is. Looks like it. Yeah. So the DAX is drifted up with the rest of it from quantitative easing. Well, you have zero interest rates, so I guess I have no other choice but to buy the stocks. How about the Ftse? Let's take a look at the Ftse. I mean, when you really want to talk about old money, you got to be looking at England. There's the Ftse. I mean, England, the exchanges have been functioning since the 1500s or 1600s or something like that. So yeah, that let's see, when was that? That was back in 18. Okay, so 2018 they reached an all-time high. And how about the DAX? What was the all-time? I think the DAX is matching with the Dow. So let's find that again on the DAX right there. Yeah, see, the DAX is like the Dow. It's matching along. But all the old money I know, they are kind of not too much together really. They just worry about their trusts are managed by people, and that's about it. And they're just making sure that they survive. Money and Power Germany, IR is the same on S&P. It's on the same in the S&P. Yeah, that makes sense too, because I mean, what the ECB plows in 60 billion euros a month into the market, like the Fed does $120 billion a month. So that would make sense. And I don't know what England is doing. I guess obviously not as much, since its all-time highs in 2018. So it's 4 years ago. So yeah, I mean, I would imagine that most of the markets, at this point in time, will just kind of. I would think they'll try to rally them into the end of the year, just to mark them up. Window dressing. I imagine after the mid-October, we start to see more strength, something like that. I would guess. I don't think they're going to go to sleep though. I don't think they're going to go to sleep. I don't. I mean, Turkey might. You know, the economy there. I mean, you know, the currency's going from 1.5 to 10.5. So I mean, it would take a really dynamic change in the economics there to, you know, bring that thing down. Now I don't know what's going to happen with Canada. Let's take a look at Canada. But Canada, more than likely, you know, after the election, I don't know if they're going to go anywhere. You know, we don't hear a lot from it. You know, we're next door neighbors, but we don't really hear a lot on Canada. Just some odd headlines once in a while, like that last one I saw about 3 or 4 days ago. Can't we vote for none of the above? It's like, what? Yeah. And you can see here, you know, the Canadian dollar's been kind of sideways. I mean, we've been in that weekly buy. Let's go take a look at it here. Yeah, there it is. So we went into the weekly sell last week after something like 20 weeks or something like that in a buy. So we were in a buy all the way since mid-June. And then we went into sell last week, and now we are going right back into the buy again. So that's not exactly a good sign that they're going to change their economic policies. And that seems to be the whole, you know, recipe of it all. What we're really looking at is these, you know, quantitative easing has changed the way we understand watching the numbers. That's really what it comes down to. That is it. That literally is. You know, when the ECB is plowing, you know, creating out of thin air 60 billion euros a month to buy equities and corporates and so forth, and bonds and roll them and so forth, that changes the whole complexion. It would be like setting a thermometer next to a heater and expecting it to go below zero, you know, go below freezing when it's sitting right next to a you know, a hot source. You know, it just doesn't work that way. You know, it distorts it. And the same thing with the Dow, the U.S. We have 120 billion being created out of thin air every month. You know, and hence why, you know, we're way up at the highs of all times. You know, and even the bond market, when you go and look at the bond market, like right here, let's see, where's that at? Even the bond market has a hard time really reflecting what's going on. I mean, when you look at this, let's see if we can track this. Boom, 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 like that. You know, I mean, we didn't really damage anything. I mean, they sell off a little bit to this. It's almost like 3 peaks in a dome thing going on here. And they seem to have gone down, challenged the area there, and it's trying to lift back up. And now we're not moving towards a weekly buy yet. Where'd it go? You know, we're not doing that. I mean, we're still buried underneath the zero line. But, you know, we're back in daily buy for the last 3 days, and we're seeing the strength there. You know, I don't see interest rates really getting that adjusted. You know, I can't imagine interest rates going up much. You know, what are they going to do? 1.7. I think Mr. Bernanke, Mr. Powell, the Fed chair here, said something like, you know, we could see 177. Yeah, I mean that's not anything death-defying. You know what I mean? And we're trading at 152. I mean, it's not like we're going to see 7% interest rates, or you know, half of that, you know, like 3.5% interest rates. They're going to hold them. They held them for a long time, from 1932 to 1968 or 7. Let's see, Nixon got elected in '68, so they held them for 32 years, between 2 3/4 and 3.5, I think it was, the 30-year bond. You know, the Federal Reserve held it there, made sure it didn't drift apart from it. Nixon, by disconnecting Bretton Woods, you know, and the currencies and so forth, and legalizing gold, generate and freed and pushed the Fed to free up the long-term interest rates to float, exploded up to 21% from that. Now the real question is that does that sit in the back of the heads of these past 3 Fed chairs? You know, Mr. Bernanke, Mrs. Yellen, and now Mr. Powell. That QE is only 13 years old. So do they sit back and think we're going to have to grow out of this enormously? And so when they talk about tapering from 120 to 115, they're still plowing money into the market. And so I don't think I'm going to see the ECB do anything different. In other words, they may go from 60 to 50, or 60 to 40 or 30, but they're still creating new money. And so there's a lot to be questioned. There's a lot to be asked, and there's a lot to be accepted. And it goes right into the beginning of this about how Turkey is going to be sideways, and how Germany, the leader of the European environment, I guess you could say, the major industrial nation, is pretty much going sideways. After the last election, it's not doing anything more dynamic or less. It's just, and old money. Like I said, I know some old money. They're billionaires, and they have no interest in being. They might ramble about this or that. Trust me, they're not risking their equity. They talk, but they don't do. Even like a Soros. Soros is new money. Soros is not old money. Gates is not old money. Bezos is not old money. Musk is not old money. These are the things that are, and the Google founders, they're not old money. They're the ones that are really, moving the world, shaking the world, making it, perform the way it's performing. They're not old money. And I always hear these stories like, oh, it's, what's that Rothschild and stuff like that. I always hear that rubbish. It's a joke. They're clueless. They're not involved. They haven't been successful in 40, 50 years. They've been stepped over by the nouveau money. If anybody has a different opinion on it, I'd love to hear it. But as far as I can tell, all the old money, is basically on vacation, like Germany. They're all on vacation, not really worried about much. They're just collecting their monthly stipends. All right, so that was the bonds we took a quick look at. Now let's go take a look, since we looked at Canadian, let's take a look at oil. You can see oil just kind of sideways the last couple of days. We heard people say stuff like it's going to be $100 and so forth, and it may, who knows. We're in a weekly buy. We're in a weekly buy from down in the 60s, and we've gotten up into the higher 70s. I think, did we ever even get to 77? I don't think we did. We got to 75, 76. We were in the high 76s there at 76. No, the lows 76.35. So, we'll see it move along as industry gets going. And then gold was showing a little bit better life yesterday. That's nice, but look at the weekly. It can't get out of its own way. We will go through the metals more unless someone wants to see them now, but what we'll do is we'll go back over and take a look at the South African Rand, which we're assuming, since gold lifted up, it's got to be acting like it's trying to go down. Just should. That's usually the way it rolls. Let's see. Right there. Should be moving down a little bit. Yep, there we are, and we got a red dot. Let's check it out on J4X. There it is right there. Yeah, so there it is there too. Red hinky. See it right there. You see the fast-moving white is penetrating the dashed yellow. So, same thing here. But looks like they may throw this into a weekly buy, which makes me a little concerned about the metals complex. All right, now let's take a look at the ruble. Right there. Ruble moving a little up. It's been trapped in a little buy thing going on here for the last couple days. Right there. It's put that line in there. Yeah. So up on line, where's that? Line 18 on the fact check spreadsheet. You see it. It's 3 days in daily buy and 7 weeks in a weekly sell. So we went into the weekly sell up in here. And it's kind of more sideways than it is down, but it is down. You know, nothing too major one way or the other. All right. Let's see what's next here. And then we go over to the new. There's been a lot of election. We have a new prime minister in Japan now. Right there. And what's that? That's moving down just a little bit, just like the way the dollar is. You see that red, and you see the fast is moving past the slow. Imagine, you know, here's an interesting statement. If you're really looking for, what was it you said it was? Inequality. If you remove inequality, we have no way of measuring anything. So in other words, there is no white, fast moving line versus a slow, yellow dashed line. You can't. There is no way of eradicating inequality. It's not supposed to be. It's called evolution. Anybody who wants to remove inequality is asking to remove evolution. And that it always confuses me how people kind of forget that fact that without inequality you don't have evolution. And so, you know, I mean, that's something to think about when you're not you in particular, anybody who thinks that you can make everything equal. If you make everything equal, we won't have any evolution. You have no growth. Let's see what's next here. Freedom is the answer to everything. Total freedom. Just allowed to be. Get rid of taxes. Just, hell, let the ones who want to sleep underneath a tree 7 days a week sleep underneath a tree and do nothing and go back to the house during the afternoons and, you know, sit there or do whatever. And the ones that want to work and do things, let them do things. Freedom is the real answer of it all. That's what's great about the American Constitution. It allows for freedom. Let's see. From there, the last one we look at is the Mexican peso. And that's what markets are about. We always used to say on the trading floors, free markets, free people. I don't think you see that headline much, but we used to say that a lot. It used to be written a lot. Free markets, free people. That's what we used to say. Yeah. You know, because that's the way we see it. You know, because if you make everything equal, no reason for stochastics, no reason for averaging. You know, if everything's equal, then it's all equal. Yeah. That makes a ponder there. Now, look, we got what we were talking about here about that. I guess we can put the third big oval up now. Where was it? We went to the buy here. And we thought this one was going to take out, and it has. And so, let's see, when we move it over, you see the three ovals. Not sure what they mean, but it just was well worth paying attention to. You know, it's going after the high here. We thought it was going to on this last daily buy, solely because it had leaped cleanly up through here. Now, whoever follows RSI, we had RSI on here for somebody that wanted to see what RSI did against this particular product, against Doc's math. That was an interesting question at the time. And you can see here it's topping out. You can see it's trying. You know, we're at the high end of the range. And you know, it's given that cute little red thing there. And we'll see what goes on. You know, the Mexican peso has been a very healthy product. It's been staying in a nice channel, in the 19.5 to 20.5, and we're 20 3/4, something like that, for about 6 months now since the election. And so that's been, you know, things have been growing really well down in Mexico. Things have been smoothing out. I'm talking about on an economic level. Just took a sip of the tea here. All right, so that's the last of the pairs we normally look at. If anybody wants to see anything else, then, you know, just shout what it's all about. Okay, anyway, there's gold, and you can see gold trying to press itself down again. You know, the QE just sits on it. And then let's check out silver. Silver's showing some life. It's in a daily buy for 2 days, like the way gold is doing the same. But look at the weekly. It just refuses. It cannot get out of its own way. Matter of fact, I had to adjust something, and I couldn't believe subconsciously that silver was trading at 121 and change, 22. I had to go double check it a couple times because I was like, isn't silver like 26? You know, I had forgotten that it had fallen that much, and we've been in a weekly sell in this thing now since up in here. It just refuses to find a weekly buy. And let's see, where is it at? There it is, line 9. You know, 20 weeks now in a weekly sell. Wow. Bitcoin, sure. We've got the micro, the micro. We're looking at the micro nowadays, which is pretty cool. Let's see. I think it's going to be something we can follow. It's not giving us a weekly yet. I got to figure out what's going on there. Let's see, where's it at? Right there. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. And you can see it's in a daily buy for 2 days now. So it's on the fact check spreadsheet. It was 7 weeks in a weekly sell. No, it was 1 week in a weekly sell. And it's now, you know, it's 1 day in a daily buy. This is the second day, looking pretty good. The Fed chair has said that he doesn't see a problem of creating, what did he say? Creating futures on ETFs, so it can take a delivery. That's what he's talking about. So you take delivery on the ETF instead of it being like a cash index. And so it'll create a physical delivery of some form, which would be the ETF. And I guess they'll have to define ETFs. There's been talk about creating ETFs with a what do you call it, like a fund of physical Bitcoin. So in other words, you know, a fund, someone buys $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, and it's sitting in an account. You know, it's locked there. Those assets are locked there, and then they create an ETF on that in exchange for physical. And then he says you create a future on that. Excuse me. And he's talking about that Infram and all three of the top major cryptos. So that's pretty positive, you know. I think I need a sip of tea there. So that's a real positive thing to see the cryptos possibly moving into a listed state. In other words, they're listed on an exchange. That would be very nice. It is listed on the CME right now, but very illiquid. Yeah, and they did list the other contract, but it's not really getting the volume that they want. I think that's because of the delivery problem, and that's important. You know, the delivery cache needs a physical. You know, it needs a physical like the S&Ps or the NASDAQ or the Tech 100 type of thing. You know. All right. Let's see. Where did we leave off from there? Oh, crude oil. We saw crude, you know, just going sideways in here in a daily sell for 3 days now, going on a fourth. But the weekly's holding up. And then we look at natural gas, which lifted up pretty powerful last couple days. Now it seems to be trapped. You can see this morning it is playing with the daily sell out of nowhere. It wasn't that way when I sent it out earlier. Let's just give it that a refresh. Yeah, that was up higher, much higher when we sent out the charts this morning. And you can see the weekly is very firm. You know, we've been in that weekly buy since back in here, and it doesn't seem, you know, it's just doing its ebb and flow, ebb and flow, ebb and flow, ebb and flow. There's a nice flow, ebb and flow. You know, it's just doing that. We're not really seeing any real action, you know, anything more or less of that. And then let's see that, and then let's check out the platinum. We'll go back to the metals real quick and take a look at October platinum, which I guess it's time to start switching that contract. We were 21 weeks in a sell in this product, all the way back into there, back into, what month is that? May? Yeah, May. It went into the weekly buy 1 week. Last week was wild, from that slow summer. Pushed a lot of stuff into the weekly buy, and now we're going right back into the sell again. That was one interesting move out of that. Look at that. Went up $100, a 10% move in platinum. I didn't hear anybody talking about that. And then, and copper. Let's look at copper. Right there. Copper showing a little life again this morning, flirting with its weekly sell. It's been in and out, in and out. Can't get any real direction. It gets into a buy for a while there, and then it goes into a sell. Doesn't do us any good either way. And I think the daily sells were pretty good though, but overall was not the best of it. And then this buy, not good at all. It's it's really sloppy at the moment. That's December copper. I mean, it's made money, but barely anything. Nothing like the other products. But again, none of the other products are really changing direction like this so much. It goes into a sell, it goes into a buy, then a week later sell, then a week later buy. Now it's flirting again with another sell. They have no conviction in that product at all. I understand. Biden is there was a headline out this morning. It was the weirdest headline. Biden's doing some really weird stuff. First of all, he was asking Russia for help over something, and then they were buying drones from China. What is going on with that guy? He's so weird. And then so that's pretty much the answer to it all. Let's see what we got there. Oh, that's so neat. There we go. So that is the recipe of the metals complex and the energy complex. But yeah, I hear you. There's problems everywhere. These climate zealots think that we have some control over the weather, which goes right up there with old money. As far as I'm concerned, the sun runs all of our weather, 99.9% of the weather. We have I don't think we have any real ability to have any effect on the weather more than some little teeny weeny little short-term thing of a few minutes, compared to days, weeks, months, and years, and decades, and centuries, and millennia. When it comes to the sun controls all our weather, creates our lightning, generates the rain, does it all. All right, so where did we leave off from there? So that's, we'll go over to stock indices. Let's see what's going on with stock indices. So we'll go back up to the top there. And we can first look at them on a very short-term basis to get a flavor of the movement that they've had today. See right there. And you can see the S&P 500. Let's make them big for each one of them like that. There is the S&P 500. It's moved from the 306 area? I mean, it went from there to 318, and I think it even went, the low today is something miraculously really low. Where is it at? The low is 260. So let's just scrunch this up a little bit to show you. We were down there at the London Open, 260, and this thing is up in the 18s now. So yeah, 260. You're not even seeing it still. There it is, right there. Yeah, since Frankfurt and everybody opened, it went from the 260s all the way up to 318. And then the NASDAQ, same situation. That thing was down to 1452, and we are now trading at 14,717. like a 300-point move, 200 and was it 452, 552. So it's a 250-point move on the upside. And then the Dow Jones Industrial Average right there, same situation, was down in the 33,400 area, and we are now trading at 33,800, almost 900. So we're looking at a high to low of almost 500 points, from 33,383 to 33,892. That is 500 points. So we've seen some incredibly great action. Yeah. Let's see, what else we got going on? I guess that's about that. All right, now we can go take a look at it on a daily and see how much we can use it through the J4X at the same time. So let's first go to the what do you call that? The Tech 100 right there. Oh, you know what? We'll go. We got yeah. Let's do that. Let's go to Tech 100. Usually I like to start off with S&P, so let's do S&Ps first, because we'll go through the cycle again. And right there, that's not it. That's the Nifty 50, I think, out of India. There it is, the S&P 500. So you can see there, you know, lots of red. You know, definitely weak throughout the whole month. And then let's see. Oh, we gotta switch it there. We go to here. There it is. And that is the S&P 500 right there. You know, coming off its lows, you know, still in a weekly sell. It's going to take a lot more work to get it to go into a weekly buy, but it's a heck of a good bounce. Let's put it that way. And do we have red and let's see if we have a green or a red. Let's set style. Proper scaling, that's it, to the screen. There we are. So I don't see any green dot there, but let's check the red, see if we have a red dot. It may be no dot at this point. I think that's what's really going on. Scaling to the screen. There we are. Yeah, so it still has a red dot even there, just like the way J4X has a red hinky. And then from there we jump over to, oh, let's see, we're missing something there. Where is the, oh, there it is. You can see here, you know, white long, the fast is buried underneath the slow. Now, we jump over to the Tech 100 right there. Same situation. And then we look at it here, right there. And you can see it's trying to do the same thing, and just all red, just like the way it is here. Then we go to the Dow 30, right there. You know, same situation. Looks like it'll stay in the weekly sell since up in here, whereas the other two, let's just take a quick look at them. The S&P, you know, went into sell, goes into a buy, goes into a sell. And for the NASDAQ, which is kind of interesting, is that it has been in the buy since all the way back in June. So, I don't know, is it going to lead us? It's so hard to say if it's going to lead us or not. And there's the Dow. Let's go find the Dow Jones Industrial Average here. Right there, the Dow Index. So, the dailies are not really giving us like, oh, joy to get long. It's just telling us right now is that they're just doing the dead cat bounce. That's pretty much what we're seeing there, is the dead cat bounce. So I guess the best way to look at that is we'll see how, you know, there's probably some window dressing at the beginning of the month, and that's probably what we're seeing. And then we're, you know, just keep on going from there. And that is the answer to it all. Alrighty. Trying to think what else is brewing at this point in time. I guess that's about it. Anybody have anything else they'd like to see? And if not, then I guess we're going to start shutting it down. And what we'll be looking for next week is some action. The beginning of the month of October, which is usually a month of the bottom. A bottom usually occurs in October, and then they slowly drift up to the end of the year. So somewhere's in here somehow, maybe they front run the last couple days. They see lows. They may be averaging. We might see a little bit more weakness going into the middle of October. We'll see. And we'll follow the math. That's all we ever can do. ETF of EWZ, sure. That I find really cool. Let's see. Open. There. There we go. Oh, let me just save that. There's the Russell. I'll save these three real quick. And then we'll go to that. Like that. Yes. And to that, you woke me up. This is good. Tags is not giving us anything there, so we'll have to wait for that. There's tags. I got to save that. Yes, tags. Yes. And then DBA. You can see DBA is lifting up nicely, which is basically the commodities. There we are. Yes. And so then let's open up the EWZ right there. EWZ is still weak, still trying to do something, that's for sure. That's the pre-market, looking pretty good, it's trying to make a bounce. And we're still in that weekly sell for the time being, and it doesn't look like we're going to get into the buy yet. So we will check that out on Monday, Douglas. Oh, you can't see it. Let me fix it for you. There we are. Right there. So we will tune into that on Monday. Okay. This is Doc from North America saying arrivederci. Catch you guys on the flip side. Everybody have a safe and a smart weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our Dukascopy friends. Ta-ta for now.